The broom made a scratching sound against the concrete. It was a steady, rhythmic noise. Scratch, pause, scratch, pause.
Stop looking at me like that!
Hey, old
Can you
man, you
hear me?
deaf.
I said
The
answer
voice was
me!
loud. It echoed off the metal walls of the training facility. Arthur did not look up. He kept his eyes on the gray dust piling up in front of his bristles. He gripped the wooden handle of the broom a little tighter. His knuckles were swollen. They looked like knots in an old oak tree. I said move, the voice barked again. A heavy boot kicked the yellow mop bucket. Water sloshed over the rim. It spilled onto Arthur's work boots. The leather was already cracked and worn. Now it was wet. Arthur stopped. He took a slow breath. He did not turn around fast. He turned around slowly. His left leg dragged just a fraction of an inch, a heavy limp. He looked at the man standing there. It was Miller, the lead trainer. Miller was young, maybe 30. He wore tactical pants that were too tight and a black t-shirt with a skull logo on the chest. He had a whistle around his neck and a remote shock collar controller clipped to his belt. He looked like a soldier from a video game. Arthur looked like nothing. He wore a gray jumpsuit. It was 2 sizes too big. His back was slightly curved, like he had carried something heavy for too many years. His face was a map of deep lines. His eyes were pale blue, washed out by time. "I am cleaning, Mr. Miller," Arthur said. His voice was low. It sounded like gravel grinding together. "Well, clean somewhere else," Miller sneered. He adjusted his expensive sunglasses even though they were indoors. "We have VIPs coming in 10 minutes. I don't want them seeing a cripple pushing dirt around. It ruins the image." 2 other young trainers stood behind Miller. They snickered. They were boys. They had muscles and tattoos, but their eyes were soft. They had never seen the things that make a man truly quiet. Arthur looked at the wet spot on his boot. Then he looked at Miller. He said nothing. He simply picked up the bucket. He turned his back. He limp-walked toward the shadows of the utility closet. "That's right, Shuffles," Miller called out. "Go hide." Arthur closed the utility closet door. The darkness was a relief. He sat down on an overturned crate. He rubbed his left knee. The metal pin inside his bone throbbed when it rained. It wasn't raining today, but the pain was there. It was always there. He could hear them through the thin door. They were laughing. "Why does the boss keep him?" one of the younger boys asked. "Charity," Miller said. "He's some washed-up guy the owner feels bad for. Probably was a cook or a clerk back in the day. Now he just pushes a broom." Arthur closed his eyes. The smell of burning diesel, the sound of a zipper closing on a body bag, the heat, the terrible, suffocating heat. He opened his eyes. He pushed the memory down. He had practiced this for 40 years. He waited in the dark for 10 minutes. Then the heavy steel doors of the warehouse rolled open. Arthur cracked the closet door open just an inch. He wanted to see. A black SUV pulled into the training hangar. It was polished and expensive. 2 men in suits got out. They looked important. Government men or private contractors with deep pockets. The owner of the facility, Mr. Henderson, walked out to meet them. Henderson was a businessman. He liked money more than dogs. "Gentlemen," Henderson said, shaking hands, "welcome to K9 Elite. We provide the best protection animals in the state." "We are short on time," the taller suit said. "We need a Tier 1 animal, high drive, unshakable. We have a contract in the Middle East. We need a weapon, not a pet." "We have just the thing," Miller interrupted. He stepped forward, puffing out his chest. "We call him Titan." Arthur felt a chill on the back of his neck. Titan. Everyone knew Titan. Titan was a Belgian Malinois. He was 80 pounds of muscle and teeth. He had arrived 2 weeks ago. He had already sent 2 handlers to the hospital. The dog was not mean. Arthur had watched him from a distance. The dog was not evil. The dog was confused. The dog was frustrated. "Bring him out," Henderson ordered. Miller nodded to the junior trainers. They went to the kennels in the back. A moment later, the sound of scrambling claws on concrete filled the room. Titan came out. He was not walking, he was dragging the handler. The dog was muzzled. He wore a thick leather agitation collar. He was lunging, twisting, spinning in the air. He let out a high-pitched scream that didn't sound like a dog. It sounded like a banshee. "He is spirited," Miller said, trying to smile. "High energy." The suit looked unimpressed. "He looks out of control." "I will show you control," Miller said. He unclipped the shock controller from his belt. Arthur's hand tightened on the closet doorknob. Miller approached the dog. He grabbed the leash from the junior handler. He yanked it hard. "Titan, fuss," Miller screamed, the German command for heel. Titan ignored him. The dog was scanning the room. His eyes were wide. The whites of his eyes were showing. He was looking for a threat. He was looking for a job. He was looking for a leader. He did not see one. Miller pressed the button on the remote. Zap! Titan yelped. He spun around and snapped at the air. The pain didn't make him sit. It made him fight. "Sits," Miller yelled. He pressed the button again. The dog snarled behind the muzzle. He lunged at Miller's legs. Miller jumped back, tripping over his own boots. He fell hard on his backside. The clients did not look impressed. They looked bored. "This is embarrassing," the tall suit said. "Is this a joke?" He's fresh." Miller scrambled up, his face red with anger. "He needs a firm hand." Miller walked up to the dog. He raised his hand to strike the animal. He wanted to show dominance. He wanted to show he was the alpha. Titan saw the hand coming. The dog did not flinch. He did not cower. Titan went silent. He lowered his head. His body went rigid. Arthur knew that look. A quiet jungle path. The leaves stop moving. The birds stop singing. The air gets heavy. Violence is coming. Miller brought his hand down. Titan exploded. With a twist of his hips, the dog slipped the collar. It was a 1 in a million escape. The buckle snapped. The dog was loose. The muzzle was still on, but 80 pounds of missile does not need teeth to hurt you. Titan slammed into Miller's chest. Miller went down, breath gone. The junior trainers ran. The suits backed up against the SUV. One of them reached inside his jacket, looking for a weapon. Titan stood in the center of the room. He was panting. He was shaking. He looked at the men. He looked at the door. "Get the catch pole," Henderson screamed. "Shoot it, someone shoot it." One of the security guards on the perimeter unholstered his pistol. He raised it. He aimed at the dog's head. Titan bared his teeth behind the wire muzzle. He prepared to charge the man with the gun. He would die, but he would take the man down first. That is what he was bred to do. The room was full of shouting, fear, panic. Then came the squeak. Squeak, squeak, a squeak. The sound of old rubber soles on concrete. Arthur walked out of the closet. He did not run. He did not shout. He walked with his slow, dragging limp. He walked right into the center of the kill zone. "Get back, janitor," Henderson yelled. "You'll get killed." Arthur did not listen. He did not look at the boss. He did not look at the gun. He looked only at the dog. He stopped 10 feet away from the beast. The security guard hesitated. He couldn't shoot. The old man was in the line of fire. "Move," the guard screamed. Arthur raised one hand, palm open, fingers spread. He did not look at the humans. He kept his eyes locked on the dog's eyes. Titan froze. His ears swiveled forward. He lowered his head. He let out a low, rumbling growl. He was ready to launch. Arthur stood very still. He made himself small. He slumped his shoulders. He was not a threat. He was a statue. The room went silent. Everyone waited for the blood. Arthur took a shallow breath. He smelled the dog. He smelled the fear coming off the animal. It smelled like vinegar and copper. He remembered the rain. 1971. The Shao Valley. The mud was so deep it sucked your boots off. The rain was so loud you couldn't hear the enemy, but his dog could hear them. His dog, Rex. Rex had frozen just like this. Rex had saved his life 3 times that day, before the mortar hit, before the shrapnel took Arthur's leg and Rex's life. Arthur looked at Titan. He saw the same spirit. This was not a bad dog. This was a soldier without a captain. Miller was scrambling away on the floor. "Kill it, it's crazy." Titan's muscles bunched up. He was about to spring. Arthur spoke. He did not yell. He did not use the harsh, barking voice the trainers used. He did not use English. He did not use the standard German commands everyone knew. He spoke softly, a whisper that cut through the silence like a razor blade. "Rust H. Lathe." It was Old Norse. "Rest load." It was a command from a different time. A command used by handlers who didn't view their dogs as tools, but as extensions of their own souls. The effect was instant. Titan's ears twitched, the tension in his back melted, the hair on his neck smoothed down. The dog tilted his head. He looked at the old man, really looked at him. He saw the posture. He heard the tone. It was a tone of absolute certainty. It was a tone that said, "I am not afraid of you and I will not hurt you." Arthur took 1 step forward, dragging the left leg. Scrape. Titan did not back away. He whined, a soft, high-pitched puppy sound. Arthur took another step. "H. Lathe," Arthur whispered again. The dog sat. The room gasped. Miller, still on the floor, stared with his mouth open. What did you do?" Arthur ignored him. He walked until he was standing directly over the dog. The animal could have ripped his throat out with 1 jump. Arthur slowly reached into his pocket. He pulled out a pair of thick leather gloves. He didn't put them on. He just held them. The smell of old leather reached the dog. Arthur knelt. His bad knee cracked loudly. He winced, but he didn't stop. He was eye level with the monster. He reached out. He did not pat the dog on the head. That is for pets. He placed his hand firmly on the dog's shoulder. A solid grip, a handshake. Titan leaned into the touch. The dog closed his eyes. He let out a long, shuddering breath. The adrenaline was leaving him. He had found the signal in the noise. Arthur reached around with his other hand. He unbuckled the muzzle. "Don't!" Henderson screamed. The muzzle fell to the floor. Clatter. Titan opened his mouth. He panted. He licked Arthur's face. Once, a long, wet stripe across the old man's cheek. Arthur wiped it away with his thumb. He looked deep into the dog's amber eyes. "Good work," Arthur whispered in English. "Stand down, soldier." Titan lay down. He placed his head on Arthur's shoe. Arthur looked up. The silence in the hangar was heavy. The man with the gun had lowered it. The suits were starring. Henderson looked like he had seen a ghost. Miller looked sick. The tall suit and the expensive jacket walked forward. He moved carefully. He stopped 5 feet away. "Who are you?" the suit asked. Arthur struggled to stand up. His leg was stiff. He brushed the dust off his gray jumpsuit. He picked up his broom. "I am the janitor," Arthur said. He turned to walk away. "Wait," the suit said. The voice was commanding. That command, the language, I haven't heard that since the clandestine programs in the 70s, the ghost tracks. Arthur stopped. He did not turn around. "The dog is not broken," Arthur said to the wall. "The dog is bored. He is smarter than the men yelling at him. He does not respect noise. He respects quiet." Miller stood up, trying to regain his dignity. "He got lucky. The dog is just tired." The suit turned to Miller. "Shut up." It was quiet and final. Miller shut up. The suit looked at Arthur's back. He looked at the limp. He looked at the way Arthur held himself. "Unit 4, the suit asked. Arthur didn't answer. "Operation Ivory Coast," the suit pressed. "Sun Tae." Arthur remained silent. "My father was there," the suit said. His voice softened. He told me about a handler, a man who could walk through a minefield because his dog could smell the tripwires in the rain. He said the man took a mortar round to the leg to cover the retreat. They said he disappeared after the war, never claimed his pension, never claimed his silver star. Arthur gripped the broom. His knuckles were white. "I'm just a janitor," Arthur said again. "The floor in the hallway needs mopping." He started to walk. But he didn't walk alone. Titan stood up. The dog did not look at Miller. He did not look at the owner. He trotted to Arthur's left side. He pressed his shoulder against Arthur's bad leg. He matched his pace. Step, drag, step, drag. The dog walked in perfect synchronization. He was guarding the weak side. He was supporting the weight. "Miller," Henderson said, his voice shaking, "get the dog." Miller took a step forward. "Titan, come." Titan stopped. He turned his head slowly. He looked at Miller. He curled his lip. A low, vibrating growl echoed in his chest. It was a promise of violence. Miller froze. Titan looked back at Arthur. He nudged Arthur's hand with his wet nose. Arthur looked down. A very small, almost invisible smile touched the corner of his mouth. "He is with me," Arthur said. "That's a $50,000 asset," Henderson sputtered. "He is with me," Arthur repeated. He walked toward the exit. The dog walked with him. They moved like one organism. The tall suit watched them go. He put a hand on Henderson's chest to stop him from following. "Let him go," the suit said. "But the dog—" "You don't understand," the suit said. He took off his sunglasses. "You didn't just see a dog trainer, you saw a legend." Arthur pushed the door open. The bright sunlight hit his face. It blinded him for a moment. He stepped out into the parking lot. The air was fresh. Titan walked beside him. The dog looked up, waiting for the next command. Arthur didn't have a command. He didn't have a plan. He had $50 in his pocket and a small apartment on the south side of town. But for the first time in 40 years, the pain in his leg felt a little less sharp. He walked to his old truck, a rusted Ford from the 90s. He opened the passenger door. "Up," Arthur whispered. Titan leaped onto the seat. He sat tall. He looked through the windshield, scanning the horizon. Arthur climbed into the driver's seat. He closed the door. The world outside was muffled. It was just the two of them. He reached over and patted the dog's neck. The fur was warm. "Let's go home," Arthur said. He started the engine. It coughed and sputtered, then roared to life. As they drove out of the gate, Arthur looked in the rearview mirror. He saw the men standing in the hangar door, watching. He saw Miller standing small and defeated. Arthur didn't care. He had his dignity, and now he had his partner. The road ahead was long, but it wouldn't be quiet anymore. The truck tires crunched over gravel. Arthur pulled into his driveway. It was not much of a driveway, just two ruts in the dirt leading to a small wooden cabin. The cabin sat at the edge of the tree line. The paint was peeling. The porch leaned to the left. It was quiet here, far from the city, far from the noise of the warehouse. Arthur turned off the engine. The truck shook once, then died. Silence returned. Titan did not move. He sat in the passenger seat. He watched the trees. His ears turned like radar dishes. He was checking the perimeter. "Clear," Arthur whispered. Titan looked at him, then he jumped down. Arthur climbed out. His leg was stiff from the drive. He grunted as his boot hit the ground. The pain was a sharp nail in his knee. He walked to the porch. Titan followed. The dog walked differently now. He was not pulling. He was not frantic. He was matching Arthur's slow rhythm. Arthur unlocked the front door. The air inside smelled of old coffee and dust. It was a small room, a single leather armchair, a small television, a bookshelf filled with history books, a military cot in the corner made up with tight corners. There was no bed for a dog. Arthur went to the kitchen. He opened the fridge. It was mostly empty, a carton of milk, half a loaf of bread, a package of ground beef. He took out the beef, he put it in a bowl. He placed the bowl on the floor. "Eat," Arthur said softly. Titan sniffed the meat. He looked at Arthur. He waited. He was asking for permission. Arthur nodded. Titan ate. He did not gulp. He ate with precision. Arthur made himself a cup of tea. He sat in the leather chair. He watched the dog. The sun went down. The room grew dark. Arthur did not turn on the light. He liked the dark. He thought about what he had done. He had stolen property, expensive property. Henderson would call the police, or worse. Arthur didn't care. He looked at the dog sleeping on the rug. Titan's paws twitched. He was chasing something in his dreams. For the first time in years, the cabin did not feel empty. Arthur woke up in the dark. He was gasping, sweat soaked his shirt. The dream, it was always the dream. The jungle, the mud, the silence before the explosion. He gripped the armrests of the chair. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. Then he felt the weight. Something heavy was resting on his feet. Warmth. Arthur looked down. Titan was there. The dog was awake. His amber eyes glowed in the moonlight coming through the window. He was not sleeping. He was watching Arthur. Titan sensed the spike in heart rate. He sensed the cortisol. The dog shifted. He rested his heavy head on Arthur's bad knee. The pressure was grounding. It was real. The memory of the jungle faded. The smell of the cabin returned. Arthur reached out. His shaking hand touched the dog's velvet ears. "I'm okay," Arthur whispered. His voice cracked. "I'm okay." Titan let out a long breath. He closed his eyes, but he did not move his head. He held his position. Arthur leaned back. His heart slowed down. He slept. He did not dream again that night. Morning came with the sound of tires. Gravel popping under heavy rubber. Arthur opened his eyes. The light was gray, dawn. Titan was already at the door. He was standing stiff. A low growl vibrated in his throat. Arthur stood up. He grabbed his cane. He smoothed his wrinkled shirt. He walked to the door. He put a hand on Titan's neck. "Quiet," Arthur said. The growl stopped. Arthur opened the door. A black sedan was parked next to his rusted truck. It looked out of place in the dirt. The tall man in the suit was leaning against the hood, the man from the warehouse. He was alone, no police, no Henderson. Arthur stepped onto the porch. He did not run, he did not hide. "Coffee is on," Arthur said. The suit nodded. "I take it black." Arthur left the door open. He went to the kitchen. He poured 2 mugs of black coffee. His hands were steady. He walked back out. He handed a mug to the man. The man took it. "Thank you." They stood in silence. They watched the sun rise over the pine trees. Titan sat by Arthur's leg, watching the stranger. "Henderson called the sheriff," the suit said. He took a sip. "He wanted you arrested for grand larceny, said the dog is worth more than this house." Arthur stared at the trees. "He is right, the dog is worth more." The suit smiled. It was a small, dry smile. "I made a phone call," the suit said. "I called some people in D.C., people who remember the old operations, people who remember the handler named Arthur Vance." Arthur tightened his grip on his cane. He had not heard his last name spoken aloud in a long time. "Vance is dead," Arthur said. "Died in '72. "The records say that," the suit agreed. "But the pension office knows different. They just don't know where to send the checks you never cash." The suit reached into his jacket. Titan tensed. The man moved slowly. He pulled out a folded document. It was thick. He placed it on the porch railing. "Henderson has been compensated," the suit said. "The government purchased the asset, full price. Henderson is happy. He bought a new boat." Arthur looked at the paper. "And the dog?" Arthur asked. "The dog has been classified as equipment failure," the suit said. Unfit for active duty, too volatile, too old. The suit looked at Titan. The dog looked back, calm and deadly. He is being decommissioned, the suit continued. He needs a permanent retirement home, with a qualified handler. Arthur looked at the man. He looked at the paper. I don't have money, Arthur said. We don't want money, the suit said. We want the dog to be where he belongs. The man finished his coffee. He set the mug on the railing. My father, he talked about you until the day he died, the suit said softly. He said you were the only reason he came home to see me born. Arthur looked down at his boots. The leather was still stained from the mop water. Your father was a good man, Arthur said. He was loud, but he was good. The suit nodded. He adjusted his jacket. The paperwork is signed. Just needs your signature at the bottom. The dog is yours, Mr. Vance. The man turned to walk to his car. One more thing, the man said. He stopped. He reached into his pocket again. He pulled out a small metal object. He tossed it to Arthur. Arthur caught it. It was a dog tag, old, dented. It said Rex K9 Core, 1971. Arthur's breath hitched. He ran his thumb over the stamped metal. We found it in the archives, the man said. Thought you should have it back. The man got into the car. The engine started. The car backed out of the driveway. It disappeared down the road. Arthur stood on the porch. He held the old tag in one hand. He held the new papers in the other. The sun was fully up now. The air was crisp. Titan nudged Arthur's hand. He wanted to go for a walk. Arthur put the tag in his pocket. He looked at the dog. Okay, Arthur said, let's go. They walked down the dirt path. The old man moved with a heavy limp. The dog moved with a powerful stride. They moved together. Slowly. Quietly. Home.